Welcome Strategy Battle Gamers to another GBHL YouTube channel video. You're here with your very excited host, GBHL James.
And your less than excited host, GBHL Jamie.
What?
What?
You love this next one. I know you do. I know what you do next year. Because it is, we should do it in the GBHL James sort of way of saying it as well.
I think you should say it.
It's Rohan! That's right, it's the Rohan.
That wasn't GBHL.
Rohan! That's
it.
That's right, guys. Oh, well, I'm looking forward to talking about this. Jamie, you can go make yourself a brew now. No milk, never mind. Okay, so as always, we're going to be going through the heroes first.
Yep.
And then we'll have a little look at the troops. And we'll see if we can get this into one video. It's possible that we have to do two.
It's a bit iffy because there's loads of heroes and very few warriors, so we can't do it like Gondor where we had a nice even split.
No, it should be interesting. Although some of these heroes warrant less talking about, I suppose, than others. One that probably doesn't is the first one on the list.
King Theoden.
This is Theoden, King of Rohan.
Yep.
Okay, so this guy, he is 5'5". He's got 4+ shoot value, which doesn't matter. He's got strength 4, defense 5 as basic. He's got 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 5. He's got 2 might, 0 will, and 2 fate. Very interesting stat line.
Yeah.
Very interesting stat line.
Very susceptible to magic, as is fitting for him at this period in history.
It tends to be the most sort of said thing about the Theoden profile is the lack of will.
He just gets transfixed.
Yeah.
That's what's said about him. Transfixed
out of the game when you're playing against competitive players at high points cost. So he's 5'5" though.
Yeah, which is
okay.
The best Rohan's got.
Yeah, which we'll come on to. Well, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's the best Rohan's got.
It's the best that they've got. And when did a lot of these Rohan heroes come out?
They were with 2 tower. Well, majority with 2 tower sourcebook. And then
so at the time, 5 was okay.
Yeah.
At the time, 5 was okay. Now, for his war gear, he can actually take a shield and heavy armour, so he can be buffed up to defense 7.
Defense 7, yeah.
Which is very, very, very useful. And he has the option not just to take a horse, but he can also take an armoured horse if he wants.
That's true.
Which is really, really good. He's got a special expert rider, but then that's it. He's kind of your mid...
He's a mid-range hero, isn't he?
Mid-range hero, yeah. Sort of going slightly up, but mid-range hero.
Yeah. We
don't see a lot of Theoden, do we?
Not particularly. No, there are better heroes in Rohan. There's 3.
Yeah.
There's 3 Rohan heroes, and that's really it.
Yeah, that's probably probably 4, well, maybe 5. I think what we'll probably be talking about a lot is there's almost like a hierarchy because, and it's a credit I suppose to the variance in the profiles.
Yeah.
In some ways, there are 3 that you would always take before Theoden.
Before anything else.
Yeah, and I think the fact that Theoden's not got any will is kind of the big...
rules him out a little bit.
Yeah, and also sort of 2 attacks, 2 might, 2 wounds. He's got 2s across the board, hasn't he?
Yeah.
So he's reasonably fragile.
Yeah.
Reasonably fragile. Now there is a big argument out there for Theoden.
Younger Theoden, or Theoden at the Battle of... I don't know if it's Battle of 5 Armies, so... Battle of
I want that Theoden!
Yeah, where he leads them and he's all about just death.
Yeah, like a beefed up, so as we'll come to later, Aemon's got the like, and in a lot of the Battle of 5 Armies profiles there are a lot of army leading leaders.
Yeah.
And I think Theoden's kind of missed out on having that kind of profile. Yeah. In terms of the models themselves, there tend to be 3 models that you see for Theoden.
I don't really know Theoden ones. Is one of them where he's holding his helmet? No, that's Aemon.
So you've got one from the Warg attack, which is where he's lightly armoured.
Lightly armoured on his horse, yeah.
Yeah, you've got one where he's heavily armoured on the prancing-y kind of horse and he's got his helmet on.
Yeah.
And then you've got this one here where he's not got his helmet on and he's got his sword up, which is a gorgeous model. Yeah. Absolutely stunning model. We don't see a lot of this guy, which is a shame, but you do see him in some themed armies.
Yeah.
And next up we've got his son, so who dies in 2 towers. The Fords of Isen. We've got Theodred, heir of Rohan.
Yeah, he's 5'5" as well.
So that's good.
4+ shoot value because he can take a bow, so it becomes worth it for him, and throwing spears, which are a big Rohan thing. Strength 4, defense 6, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 5, 3 might, 3 will, 0 fate. He's doomed to die.
So interesting. Again, another sort of complete wipeout for part of his profile, which is interesting when it comes to the discussion of whether you take him or not. Yeah. But he is 5'5", which is good.
He can take a horse, which they all can take horses. Bows, you can take a bow, a shield, and throwing spears. So he can get to defense 7 as well.
Which is good.
Which is good. And throwing spears are nice.
And the fact that he's got 3 might is also, I think, very, very, very key.
Yeah, it makes him I think a better choice than Theoden.
Yeah, a better choice. Slightly more expensive.
Yeah.
So ever so slightly more expensive. Less war gear options. He can't take an armoured horse. I know he can take the bow. But throwing spears, now that's an interesting one.
Yeah, so these used to be 6-inch range, but then with the Hobbit they came out to be 8-inch range, and it means that Rohan can really skirmish.
No.
Really skirmish.
No.
Yeah. you should know that.
I do indeed.
Yeah. Well, that's Theodred.
Yeah, Theodred.
He's alright.
He's
not in the top 3.
The fact that he's got 2 wounds and 0 fate.
A few lucky bow shots, he's gone.
Yeah, he's going to go down pretty quickly. So again, unless you're taking a themed army, you're probably going to not pick him ahead of some others, even with that 3 might and ability to go defense 7. So next up, again, it's very, very interesting order. I think the Rohan.
Yeah,
so some of the others it seems to go from beefy to less beefy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to have an order.
No, it doesn't. So next up we've got Hammer, who's captain of Rohan. Now he's reasonably cheap.
He's pretty cheap.
He's fight value 4, so as we talked before, those sort of mannish captain kind of hero.
A lot of the Rohan named heroes are fight 4.
Yeah. So he's strength 4, defense 6. He's got 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 4, 2 might, 1 will, 0 fate.
Yeah.
So like a captain profile.
Not quite up there with the captains though.
But not quite up there. So he's almost like a worse version of a captain. He's got the heavy arm on him, which is why he's defense 6, and he does have the option to take a horse, which he's reasonably cheap. But where you've got the sort of fluff part of his profile, which is kind of key thing again with this guy.
Most of these profiles are for scenario play. Because your captains beat these guys hands down.
Which is why it takes a real skilled player to do well with Rohan.
Yeah, when you take the main 3 that aren't.
I don't know what you're talking about. So he's an expert rider, as you'd expect from a Rohan man.
Everything except Merry is an expert rider in the army.
Yeah, as you'd expect. But he's got this King's Man special rule. If the good force includes Theoden, Hammer automatically passes all courage tests he has to take so long as Theoden is alive on the board. So it's basically
essentially bodyguard. Yeah.
So he's got bodyguard on there.
Bodyguard Theoden. Yeah.
Do we see many Hammers?
No.
No, we don't. We don't see many of him at all. It's an interesting model. Nothing special, really.
No.
I mean, we didn't really mention that with Theodred before. I don't like the Theodred model.
He looks like an elf.
He does look like an elf.
He looks like a bad conversion of Elder here. Like it's like the head.
Or the old Glorfindel face.
Yeah.
The old Glorfindel face, maybe. Very different to Theoden, which is a gorgeous model.
Like an insult. Glorfindel face! Hey! Good old Glorfindel face!
That's the next one at the next Great British Hockey League tournament. Oi, Glorfy face! No, we don't see this guy, really, at all.
We'll get onto them. I think they appear quite late in the list, actually. But they're better heroes.
Well, we've got a couple of them in a row now. Now, one of them which you might consider taking, actually. Not the best, but you might consider.
I'm taking him. It was my first tournament. He's my general.
Marshal of the Riddermark himself. It's Eomer! So if you're taking him, there we go.
Right, so he is fight 5 with a 4+ shoot value. Strength 4, defense 6, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 5, 3 might, 2 will, and 2 fate. He's finally got all the heroic stats.
Yes, so somebody who is massively imbalanced in some way. So all of a sudden you're thinking, right, okay, if you're reading through this, actually I might take this guy. I might take this guy.
For not many more points than those guys either.
No.
So he can take a horse, a bow, a shield, and throwing spears, and has the expert rider special rule.
Now, for his points, he's actually a very good mid-level.
Yeah, he's good.
He reminds me a lot, apart from minus sort of delight. It reminds me a lot of the Faramir.
He's Rohan's Faramir.
He's Rohan's Faramir, I would say.
Minus delight.
Now, you said that you're taking him to this next tournament.
I am, yes, taking him with shield and throwing spears.
Interesting. Yes, you're going for
all fun. Rohan shall march to war.
The Horse Lords. They're the Horse Lords.
Nah.
Now I took
the Spear Lords.
He was my go-to hero early on.
Yeah.
But I found that when I was using him, I would play very differently because the problem is with your main leader.
2 attacks, 2 wounds.
2 attacks, 2 wounds, and 2 fate means that he can go down quite quickly. Yeah. Even though you can reach defense 7.
Yeah. For me, he's going to get stuck straight into combat.
And one of the issues if you were trying to pick a competitive Rohan list is with all the gear that you might pick, he comes to the same points level as somebody else, and is more points than somebody else as well, who is better to take.
You talking about him?
No, I'm talking about...
Oh, him. Yeah.
But yeah, he's a good profile.
Yeah,
he's a good profile and a reasonable, nice model. Which brings me on.
So you might as well.
Yes! This is my guy. This is the dude who leads my armies. It is Aemma, Knight of the Pelennor. Thank you very much. So this is Aemma, Knight of the Pelennor. So a bit more expensive because this is him in his prime on the battlefield. Okay, he's 5 value 6. So he should be 5 value 6 now. He's 5 value 5, and he is 4+ shoot value. He's strength 4. He's defense 7 because he's already got his shield on there, like in the previous profile. This guy's got 3 attacks, which is very important. 3 wounds, very important. Courage 5's the same as before, but then 3, 3, 3. So as Jamie would say,
3's in all the right places.
3's in all the right places. That's become a thing.
Yeah, it has.
Has become a thing. He's got all the 3's in all the right places, which all of a sudden means that he's a much more survivable leader.
There was a real... When I was making my list for the Fog on the Finchley Downs, I've got a banner in the force, whether to drop the banner and take Knight of the Pelennor, or keep the banner and have Aemma Marshal the Riddermark. And I've gone to keep the banner. Interesting. Because it looks cool in the force.
The banners are cool. The banner models are really, really
cool. But also
cool.
it's going to help my shield.
Well, that's what I did at the front of the squad. It's just Royal Guard shielding with banners behind while other things kill.
My plan for the army is to shield, disengage, run in, throw a spear.
It's not bad. Cool.
Shield, disengage, and just hope to get kills through.
If you throw enough of them, you might do it.
I think I'm about 23 or something.
So yeah. So you're going to hit half the time, aren't you? So.
No.
No, you're not.
Hit a third of the time.
Oh yeah, because you'll be moving. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, let's see how you get on.
Yeah.
So Knight of the Pelennor, he can take an armoured horse, so already he's got a bit of a better option there. And you can't take a bow or throwing spears, but that's not why you take Knight of the Pelennor. Yeah. You take Knight of the Pelennor because as well as Expert Rider in his special rules, he has a very good special rule, Devastating Charge.
Yeah.
Okay, now Devastating Charge means that if Aemma charges, whether on foot or mounted, he is strength 5 until the end of the turn, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, interestingly, is it as good as having a lance?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
It's when you hit the big numbers like defense 8, the lance becomes better.
Of course it does, yeah. It's interesting. I mean, it has helped me in a lot of games.
Yeah. Very
much so. But is a lance better? I probably think so.
Lances, yeah, because you hit something that's defense 4, he needs 3s.
Yeah.
Well, the lance needs 3s, he needs 4 still.
Now, because he's a beefy hero, he's probably sort of one of the more lower costed beefy heroes, but he is slightly overpointed, which is why that theory comes from.
Do you know, before Devastating Charge, what his rule was?
He had a fluffy rule, didn't he? Like
Eowyn,
like the twins.
Eowyn and Theoden.
Yes, so if either of them died, he would go...
He'd become defense 5. Sorry, strength 5 then.
And lower defense.
Yeah, but he'd always be strength 5 from then on, even if he didn't charge.
Yeah. Which is a very, very fluffy rule.
You take Eowyn, go die!
This is the kind of profile, though, that you need if you need a big hero leading your...
Yeah.
And that's why I think that, especially... I mean, I'd take him at all points, just because I love him. But he's kind of above 500 points.
Yeah, you take him.
He's your main man. Because he's going to survive as well, just keep it
the same. I have to take him on foot. It's just... so much better than anything. But the banner will see me through more, I reckon.
I love it. Jamie's going to become the Rohan man at the end of this year. It'll be like, love Rohan.
Rohan for one tournament. Oh yeah, the rubbish.
So we've gone through the 2 Aemma profiles, and both of those are profiles that you might take. The latter, definitely. And then we get to another profile, which interestingly, you will probably want to take as well, but for very, very different reasons. Who have we got next?
Next up we got Eowyn, who's also going to be coming with me
but I'm going to the back.
to Fog on the Finchley Downs. So we've got Eowyn, Shield Maiden of Rohan. She's 30... Oh! Nearly gave that... Well, I gave that away.
It doesn't matter if you do.
Yeah. She's Fight 5, which is good. She's got 4+ shoot value, Strength 3 because GW is sexist and all women are Strength 3. She's Defense 3 basic, 1 attack, 1 wound, Courage 5, 2 might, 2 will and 2 fate. So she's got a good amount of might for her points. She can take a horse for 6 points, armour for 5, shield for 5 and throwing spears for 5. So how I'm armouring her up is giving her armour, shield and throwing spear to make her defense 5. And she's a good little might caddy. She's got 2 might to lead the force. And James is gone, so moving on to Grimbold of Grimslade. Now, Grimbold the Grimslade, he was the first hero released that could improve a troop type. So he can turn Warriors of Rohan into Helmlingers. So Grimbold himself is sort of that mid-range level hero. He's Fight 4 with a 4+ shoot value, Strength 4, Defense 5, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, Courage 4, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate. So he's essentially an unupgraded captain for all intents and purposes. He comes with armour, and he's the only warrior in the, or even hero, in the Rohan army that has a two-handed weapon.
You moved on to Grimbold already?
Yeah.
What did you talk about with Eowyn?
Her war gear options, how I'm taking her to...
Eowyn is awesome.
Yeah, we've got that.
She's awesome because she allows you to take Knight of the Pelennor because she's so cheap.
Yeah. So Grimbold, as I mentioned earlier, he was the first model release that can upgrade a troop type.
Yeah.
And for a point extra, you can upgrade Warriors of Rohan to Strength 4, who become Helmlingers.
Which used to be huge.
Yeah.
It used to be huge because I remember a discussion just before The Hobbit came out when I was getting in. People were like, well, you know, you've got to take Grimbold, you've got to take other heroes that we won't mention yet.
Yeah.
Grimbold will lead your foot troops,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden Good has got Strength 4 on foot, which is very rare.
Yeah, it's only Khazad and Irongard that have it for
Exactly.
good troops.
However, that's now changed now because of something that Jamie really likes.
With Piercing Strike, yeah, you can now reach Strength 4 with your basic troops.
Yeah.
Meriadoc Knight of the Mark is next. Just like Pippin, he is a bit of a fluff character really, same points exactly. He's Fight 3, Strength 3+ shoot, Strength 2, Defense 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, Courage 4, 1 might, 1 will, 2 fate. He can take an elven cloak, a pony, and a shield, so he's a bit better than his is he cousin? Or some relation. And also the Horn of the Riddermark, which is irrelevant in the this list, but in the Hobbit list, in the Shire list, Horn of the Riddermark is a godsend. So the Horn of the Riddermark gives +1 courage to all hobbits if Merry slain and the horn is lost.
So this is a profile that you're only really going to see in a Rohan list for fluff reasons.
Yeah, it'd be alongside Eowyn. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, probably alongside Eowyn. But we do see him sometimes
Yeah.
in a Hobbit list.
Yeah, well, he's him and Pippin in the Shire list are the first heroes to go in.
Yeah, of course. So that brings us next on to Gamling, Captain of Rohan, which is quite an interesting profile. It is quite an interesting profile, mainly because of his one of his special rules or his war gear that he can take.
Yeah.
Okay, so again, he's fight value 4, so he's shoot value 4. He's got a strength of 4. He's defense 6 because he's got heavy armor. 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 4, and then he's got might 2, wounds 2, fate. Sorry, might 1, might 2.
2-1-1.
2-1-1. That's what I meant to say. Now, that's just like a captain.
Yeah, he's a captain with heavy armour.
He's a captain with heavy armour, but where it becomes really interesting is his options. So you can take a horse for 10 points, but you can also take the Royal Standard of Rohan for 50 points.
Yeah.
And the Royal Standard of Rohan is a banner, so it just acts as a normal banner, so you've got those re-rolls. But any hero of Rohan who has 0 might points at the start of the turn automatically adds 1 might to his store if he starts the turn within 3 inches of the Royal Standard of Rohan. It doesn't include him himself.
Yeah, which is a shame. But I guess that makes him a mighty hero for 50 points.
It would, yeah.
Yeah.
That's really actually quite good.
Yes, it is.
It's quite good. And what, I mean, I guess when you look at the list as a whole, apart from it's the lack of Fight 6, which is an issue, but suddenly you could have quite a hero-heavy
force. Yeah.
Hero-heavy Rohan army, and there's a Daniel Entwistle.
Yes, Dan Entwistle runs a full Rohan hero army. Like Pelennor, Theoden, obviously Gamling with the banner, Erkenbrand's in there, Eol the Young, Eowyn's even in there I think,
Yeah.
and Hammer as well.
Yeah.
And Gandalf.
Gamling's effectively giving them all sort of a mighty hero in there, isn't he?
Yeah.
You know, the ability to have that might point. Now the issue with taking him in your well-rounded force is, again, as soon as you start putting on those points, in total he's coming up to 110
that
points.
50 points is big.
It's big, and it means that you are probably going to want to choose something else.
Yeah.
And what you're probably going to want to choose is the next. In fact,
This guy's the first choice for any Rohan force.
He's
Even
an
before
auto
you pick your Knight Pelennor, he is the one who's going to be in every single, or should be in every single Rohan list.
No matter what points value you're playing at.
Except I'm not taking him.
You fool!
Yeah. That's my downfall already.
Who are we talking about?
It's the one and only Erkenbrand.
Erky himself. This is Erkenbrand. Erkenbrand, captain of Rohan. This guy is a fight value 5. That's good for Rohan. Strength 4, defense 7.
Defense 7 basic, yeah.
Very huge. He's got 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 4, which is okay. 3 might, and he's got 1 will and 1 fate. That's pretty good.
He's a good hero.
He's a very good hero. And the key thing here is, before we even start adding on what he can do and the fact he can take a horse, is he is cheap.
Yeah.
He is very, very, very cheap. He's got fight value 5, defense 7, he's a key, and that extra might, more than a captain, is huge. Now, part of his war gear is the Horn of the Hammerhand. This is one of the biggest buffs
Rohan can get.
And probably one of the biggest buffs that you can in the game, really, if you think about he's effectively getting it for free.
Yeah.
It's the Horn of the Hammerhand. This is a war horn that adds +2 courage rather than +1 to your whole army.
It's every model in your army, yeah.
Every single model. So all of a sudden, your courage 4 is a bit more than elves. Your courage 3, you're up to elven standard.
Yeah.
And it's free.
And all the heroes get it as well. So your Rohan heroes, typically courage 5 at the high end, become courage 7. They're not going to fail a courage test.
They're not going to fail.
They shouldn't.
They shouldn't. Now he can take a horse, which is all important. But then we've got a really interesting one in terms of leading troops. If your army includes Erkenbrand, you can upgrade any number of Riders of Rohan to Westfold Red Shields at a cost of +1 point per model. Westfold Red Shields are fight 4 instead of fight 3.
Yeah. As mentioned in sort of our previous videos and in the Battle 5 Armies Week, fight 4 is the new benchmark to be at that makes you competitive.
It does indeed, and it can really sort of change how competitive you are as part of a Rohan army. Now I remember when I was learning to play the game, the guy I was learning to play the game with, he said fight value, it wasn't important.
Fight value is the most important.
I think, yeah, if you're not losing the fights, then you can't be killed.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a huge buff, and for 1 point extra to a model you already spend a bit more on for the horse, it is well worth it. And it means that along with the fact that he's underpriced generally, his high defence means that he's reasonably survivable, especially with the extra might, and the fact that he's got the Horn of the Hammerhand for that +2 courage, you have to take Erkenbrand. He is also an absolutely stunning miniature.
Yeah, he's really cool, isn't he?
He's a really stunning miniature.
His foot version
is one of the best models.
Yeah. More so than his mount. I'm not overly keen on his mounted version.
The mounted version is slightly too small.
Is it, man?
He's slightly, because it's supposed to be squatted, it feels quite small, whereas his
foot version is really good. You can really feel the width of his shield. It's like a massive shield. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, it's a really cool miniature. I'm going to be repainting this guy this next year, because he's the kind of guy that deserves a real time on a paint job. So Erkenbrand, if you're going to take Rohan, you must take him. Now he is back in production as well. Well, not production, but they found him. You can now only get him in fine cast, so it means that the metal version of him is very sought after.
Yeah, I'm glad I didn't sell mine.
It's really sought after. So next up we come to what you consider most basic Rohan hero, which is the captain of Rohan.
He's actually better than some of the named ones.
Yeah, he is, which is really interesting.
Points value and his versatility.
Yeah, he's cheap, isn't he?
Yep, he's fight 4, he's strength 4, defense 5, basic, 2 attacks, 2 wounds, courage 4, 2 might, 1 will, 1 fate.
Standard man captain.
Just regular captain. Not even man captain, just captain. You can take a horse, you can take heavy armour, you can take a bow, a shield and throwing spears. So he
very
can
versatile.
Reach defense 7, you can have his bow, which works with the expert rider, and throwing spears. You can really tool him up. There's nothing you can't give him.
I think, again, one of the issues here is, it's the fight value 4, isn't it, which really lets him down. But I guess it's what you should expect from Rohan Captain. Not a lot to say about him. I never ever see him. There's so many other heroes.
There's other heroes in the list.
But as you mentioned before, he is better than a lot of others. So
it's Hammer, isn't it?
Well, he's better than Hammer. Gambling.
He's better than Gambling because he can reach the higher defences.
Can reach slightly higher defence, and he's got a lot more options than Grimbold, who remains on foot and has to be defence 5. He's obviously got his two-handed weapon, which is the one different thing. But yeah, you're probably not going to see him because of the likes of Eowyn's, your Eomer profiles, and Erkenbrand. which is key. And then a really interesting one, a very odd inclusion in this list, I think.
It is a weird inclusion, isn't it? So it's a King's Huntsman, and this was released as part of this book. This was a new profile, this wasn't reinforcements. You can get him in the Rohan Commander's box set, the Flying Cast one. He's Fight 3, with a 3+ shoot value, so he's not a combat hero. Strength 4 though, Defense 5, 1 attack, 2 wounds, Courage 4, 2 might, 1 will and 1 fate. Comes with armour and an elf bow, or longbow, and his special rule is Master Archer. Monsters with this rule may only fail in the way rolls on the roll of a 1, which is good.
That's very good.
And I believe it was errated that he can choose what he's shooting at.
Yeah, he can.
So if he's shooting at the horse, he'll only hit the rider on a 1.
Yep.
And each time Swallow slays a hero or monster, he restores his might to its starting value.
Which is pretty good.
Which is good. So let's say you've managed to shoot down a cave troll to 1 wound, he gets the last 1, blow 2 might, sure I'll make the wound, he gets it back.
Yeah, very, very... I mean, he's an independent hero, so he's not leading troops.
Yeah.
He's reasonably cheap. He's slightly more expensive than a captain of Rohan.
Yeah.
The fact that he's a static hero on foot...
It's a weird one for the Rohan theme, basically.
Yeah, to me, it's never made sense in the list. No. Never ever made sense in the list.
There were no scenarios with him either. It's not like he's a scenario character who's been made up. He's just been thrown in there.
However, surprisingly, he's a very sought after model.
Yeah.
Because you can only get him part of the box set.
Yeah.
And a lot of people use him for conversions as well, because he's a nice miniature.
He'd be a good Garian conversion.
Yeah, he would actually. He would. A good Santa.
Yeah. Yeah. Got
so he's the oddball in the list. He does have a good special rule, and you often hear people theorising.
10 King's Huntsmen. I'll kill all the heroes.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Then get killed in combat.
So yeah, a real oddball in there.
If you could take a horse, you might take him.
Yeah, you might take him because then you can still do the skirmishy thing. You can keep up with your... Unless, of course, you're taking all foot Rohan, which you're doing. But even then, you take other things because it's 50 points not leading heroes.
Yeah, exactly.
Which could be better spent on other things. So next up, we come to a historical profile.
Ooh.
Okay, so it means that this guy's quite hard to fit into other named hero lists if you want to stick to theme. But we've got the legend that is Ale the Young. Ale the Young. Ale the Young is definitely sort of midpoint hero.
Yeah.
He's right on there.
Same as Legolas.
Yeah, same as Legolas. He's got Fight 5, which is good, Rohan. He's got Strength 4, Defense 6, because he's got his heavy armour and shield as part of his profile. He's got 2 attacks.
We should really take him Defense 7.
Yes, I've heard people have asked that to be
FAQ'd.
Yeah. But it hasn't been, has it?
No. Not that I have.
So he's Defense 6, his attacks are 2, his wounds are 2, and his courage is 5. So exactly the same as Marshal of the Riddermark.
Yep.
He's got 3 might, he's got 2 will, and he's got 2 fate.
So he is Marshal of the Riddermark.
He's exactly the same.
Hard.
Apart from the fact that he can't go to Defense 7.
But he comes with throwing spears.
He comes with throwing spears. And not only does he come with throwing spears, he comes with an armoured horse.
That can
move 12 inches. This is Felaroth.
Yeah.
Felaroth is an armoured horse that can move 12 inches, so it's one of the Miras, which is huge.
Yeah.
Which is a really, really, really...
Really, if a Miras was armoured, it should be Defence 6. If you're going off Shadowfaxes.
Yeah, I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, I suppose it would be. Now, he does have Expert Rider, like all of them, but then here is the key, and this is why it becomes very hard to take Marshal of the Riddermark if you're being competitive.
Yeah.
And you want to abuse the list, because he's got Legendary Hero.
Yeah, Legendary Hero is sort of like Mighty Hero, but just a little bit worse. Legendary Hero, when you use a point of might, is it on anything, or is it on a heroic action?
It's on anything.
On anything. If you roll a 4 to 6, the might point is effectively free.
Which is great.
Yeah.
Which means that on average you should be getting sort of 4.5.
Yeah, points of might.
Yeah, 4.5 points of might per game.
When you use him, like I've said to you in the past, you should never expect to get 3 might. You use the 3 might as if it's a 3 might and that's your limit.
Yeah.
If you get the might back, it's a bonus. But you don't go, oh, I might just call a heroic move this turn and then regret it later on when you roll a 1 or 3.
No, you don't use it the same way that you use Aragorn. Definitely not, definitely not. I mean, because I played games using Elder Young, because it's a beautiful model as well. Yeah. And it's a very good profile for that mid-level hero. He's very good. he has let me down in the past. And I tend to get superstitious about these things. Because again, you know, as your leader, the 2 fate, 2 wounds, 2 attacks.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's defense 6.
Yeah.
You know, it means that he can go down quickly in his scenarios.
If he gets trapped and strength 4, just do him in.
Of course it does. Of course it does. But legendary hero, you know, in some games you don't get
a 7, mate.
Yeah. Well,
it just depends on the dice.
Yeah. Yeah, of course it does. So he's really, really good. When I've tried to get him into lists in the past, I tend to sort of say, well, he's the son of Eowyn captain or something like that. Yeah. Or I've done it the other way, where he's the leader and Eowyn is a shield maiden of Rohan, to try and justify it from a fluff point of view. But he's a tough one to get in there. But very good hero. And that takes us to the end of the heroes. Now, because there aren't actually many warriors of Rohan, I think we can get this in.
Yeah, we'll try and keep it under 15 minutes, keep it to a 45-minute video.
Yeah, I think so. So there aren't actually many, there's lots of heroes.
Loads of heroes.
Not many warriors.
No.
But we start off with the key.
The
warrior.
basic. The
basic, but he's key. The basic warriors.
Your Sainsbury's value warrior.
It's the Rider of Rohan.
Yeah.
The Rider of Rohan.
The original letdown warrior.
The original letdown?
Yeah.
And why were you let down originally?
Well, you just fight 3.
That's a key thing.
Fight 3, defense 5. It's just a terrible, terrible model.
So the fight value 3 is key. Fight value 3, he's got a shoot value of 4+, strength 3, defense 5, 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 3. Now if we look back over to the Gondor list before, and we had the Knights of Minas Tirith.
Yeah.
The Knights of Minas Tirith, yeah, they were 5-8. They already had the defense on them. And also the ability to take a lance.
Yep.
These guys don't have that, do they?
No, well they can take a bow, which is the trade-off.
And we'll talk about that in a second.
Yep.
So they can take a banner, and they can take a warhorn. Not going to take a warhorn, are you? Because who have you got on your list?
You've got Erkenbrand, who's already got one.
You might take a banner though.
Yeah.
A banner can be quite important for Rohan. And they can also take throwing spears, which you really rate. A lot of people rate quite a lot. It's that free hit. But the key thing with these guys, they've got expert rider, yes, but it is a new thing.
They were errated, which is what made Rohan reasonably competitive again. Is the fact that
I thought it was me.
No, it wasn't. Sorry to disappoint you. If they were errated that these guys just don't count towards the bow limit, just like a hero. They don't put any emphasis. They can take bows for free.
So all of a sudden you've got a situation where you can have...
You could have 100% bows.
And I think I can remember a lot of things on forums again when I was just getting on board in the hobby. A lot of people saying, well, it doesn't make sense that I can't take an all-mounted Rohan army because I can't take them because they come with bows and only a third of your force can be bows.
What used to be said was only the models firing the bow have a bow. The rest drop them when that was a Games Workshop ruling.
Okay.
The rest drop them when they come on, so they can't use it. Which you're paying a point for something you're not using. Whereas now they've put you on the right thing and said yes, they just don't count towards the bow limit. So you couldn't say have 10 warriors on foot with bow, 10 riders, and 10 warriors with shield because then you'd have a 50% bow limit.
So they are a okay troop.
Yeah.
The fact that they've got the 100% bow limit makes them viable.
Yeah.
Makes them really viable. And Erkenbrand makes them more viable.
Yeah. With the fight value 4 being good, and then courage 5 not running away, you can do it properly.
Yeah, and all of a sudden they become a pretty good troop with Erkenbrand. And I take a lot of these guys.
Yeah.
I take a lot of these guys. So next up we actually come to a bit more of a specialist, which interestingly is quite cheap. We come to the Rohan Outrider.
Yes, yeah.
Rohan Outrider.
Now these guys used to be heroes.
I heard.
Yeah, they put this in before, and these guys used to be heroes, but were downgraded to warriors because they used to be abused with the banner of Rohan.
Yeah.
So these guys used to be heroes with 0 might, 0 will, 0 fate. The banner used to stand next to them and go, these are heroes with 0 might, they start the turn, they can all have a might point for free. You take an army of them, because then it's 100% bows with the banner, and they've all got might, and you just shoot everything to death. It was a nasty, nasty loophole.
Did you ever come up against it?
No, thank God.
Yeah, it sounds awful.
I remember my friend did.
Why is that not around now? I know someone who'd take advantage of that one.
No. Even when it was around, I wouldn't take advantage of that. That was a blatant loophole that you're abusing. But they changed it by making the Rohan Outriders into troops, and they dropped their profiles just a little bit as well.
Yeah, so they're fight value 3,
yep.
But they've got a shoot value of 3+, which is a key stat line for them.
Yep.
Strength 3, defense 4, So they're not as armoured, they're supposed to be the light armoured scouts, aren't they?
Yeah.
They've got 1 attack, 1 wound, courage 4, so they're higher courage than a rider of Rohan.
Yeah.
Now they've got war gear, armour and bow, and they can take a horse for an extra 6 points, which would take them to the same price as a rider of Rohan.
Yeah.
Now, they've got some interesting special rules as well, well, 8 interesting special rules. They've got Expert Rider, of course, like everything Rohan, but they've got Vanguard. What does that do?
Vanguard. So regardless of where the hero is on the table, they are in range of their standfast.
Which in the end game...
Can be big, because these guys can run off and grab objectives without a hero, without having to worry about running away, as long as there is a hero on the table.
Yes, they do indeed.
And with the +2 courage, your heroes aren't running from Merkenbrand, so they can quite reliably, even if there wasn't, yeah, they're going to be fine.
Now what's interesting with Rohan Outriders as well is that their base cost, even without a horse, is exactly the same as another profile that we'll be coming on to in a second, Warrior of Rohan with a bow, except they've got this special rule, they've got a better shoot value. There's no reason not to take these if you've got foot bowmen basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Now I take a few of these in the force, and yeah, they're great for grabbing objectives. When you are doing the skirmishing, just the 4 shots at an extra lower shoot value just gives you a little bit of an extra chance, and it's helped me a lot before. Do you see many of these out and about?
Not particularly. No. They're very expensive.
Yeah, they're gorgeous models though.
Yeah.
They are really, really nice miniatures, and again, it's one of those that I'm going to strip up and repaint this year because they're really nice. They need to be done justice. So next up, we come to what you would consider the elites or 2 elites. It's in a weird order. The book Kingdoms of Men. It's all over the place. Really, that should be there. That should be there, and then it should be these.
Yeah.
Next up, we got the Rohan Royal Guard.
Yes. So Rohan Royal Guard were used to be before the next group, the biggest and best that Rohan had to offer. They're fight 4 with a 4+ shoot value, strength 3, defense 6, 1 attack 1 wound, and courage 3. I am certain they used to be courage 4. Same with the guards in the Gondor list.
Okay.
And Numenor, I'm certain they used to be courage 4. I have to go check the old books.
If you know, let us know. Comment below.
Because I remember it being, it was one of their points that they'd have bodyguard and be courage 4. So if your hero died, they were still all right.
They're still okay, yeah.
These guys come with heavy armour and shield, so defense 6 is the max they're capped at. They can take a banner, a horse, and throwing spear. Horse for 6 points.
And they do have that bodyguard special rule, which is pretty handy for these guys, it has to be said. And they're okay.
They're alright.
They're okay. They can take a banner, which I actually think is quite important if you can take these guys on foot. Because they can't take spears. Now that's one of the key things in the Rohan list when you look at the foot troops, is you can't have that usual front line, second line.
You can't have a spear.
So what you do is you actually do a shield wall.
Yeah. A proper shield wall.
A proper shield wall.
Not a spear wall.
No. And this is where you start rolling double dice because you're shielding and you're trying to attack them with part of the line.
Yeah.
Which is something that we both do.
You get your heroes to attack certain bits together. Kill a model. Next turn, kill a model. Hooray!
You played a slow game.
Yeah.
You played a patient game. Roll more dice and you'll win in the end. So they can take that banner, which is quite important. They can take a horse. So all of a sudden they can be up there with your mounted stuff as well. And they can take those throwing spears. Now when you put the throwing spears on, they are quite an expensive foot troop.
For being a foot troop, if you get them as horses, even with throwing spears they become a bit too expensive then.
Yeah, they are slightly expensive, it feels like, when you're putting them together.
Yeah.
But they are they're quite solid. Defense 6, because there's 2 ways to go if you can take infantry Rohan, isn't there? You either have less and you go for your Royal Guard and you know that you're going to be harder to kill.
Yeah.
It's going to be less of you though.
But then the strength 4 is so prevalent in evil, then is defense 6 actually worth it?
Exactly. Very, very interesting.
It's a hard one.
It is a hard one, but they are good. They're quite solid. I tend to make sure that my banner is a Royal Guard, so it's a bit more defence against shooting. I think that's where it comes in really, is when you're against elf bows and stuff.
Yeah, if I play an elf army this weekend, next in January, I'll go down so easy.
I'm looking forward to hearing your report back from that. So the Rohan Royal Guard, these are, were the main elites. No longer the main elites though, because next up,
reinforcements brought these in. The release. It's your Sons of Ale.
My favourite troop in the whole game, and I get to talk to about them here now.
I think you should review these guys.
Thank you. Thank you. I would do the same for you if, I don't know,
Wozalf.
Wozalf.
Yeah.
So, a Son of Ale. So these are the elite cadre of knights in the Rohan army. They are described in the books. There was some elite royal knights.
Oh, yeah.
Not named as Sons of Ale, but that's clearly what they're referring to. So these guys are fight value 4. So again, that's what you need. They are shoot value 4, but that doesn't matter. They're strength 4.
That's good.
Key. Defense 6. 2 attacks base.
Yep.
1 wound. Courage 4. It's very good. So they come in with a heavy armour and shield. And as another part of war gear, they've got a pure blood steed, which again is an armoured horse with movement of 12. So exactly the same as what LOTR has.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge. You've got expert rider, but let's talk about why these guys are awesome. They're quite expensive.
Yeah.
Quite expensive, but 2 attacks base.
2 attacks base is great.
Absolutely huge. Any model, any
model with 2 attacks is good.
Yeah, and the fact that it's cavalry with 2 attacks base, the multiplier of getting the charge,
and then the knockdown.
And the knockdown means that when these, and strength 4,
at strength 4 as well,
and an axe as well,
yeah.
which is good in terms of the Hobbit. These guys are going to kill pretty much what they win the fights against.
If they go 2-on-1 against something and piercing strike, then yeah, they should be killing what they, if they win.
Often they get described as sort of mindless captains.
Yeah.
Effectively.
The stat line is the same as a captain.
Yeah, yeah.
Without the Might Will Fate.
Yeah, and with the shield,
yeah.
or heavy armor, or whatever. So yeah, they are absolute beasts, and the fact that they got 2 attacks also means it negates some of the problems with cavalry, because if they can get counter charge, still hold their own. Yeah. And defense 6 is it's solid. Yeah. It's solid, especially against other good armies, as we said with the fight 4. So unbelievably, as hard as it is for me, I'm going to move on from there. But it's a good idea in a Rohan army to have some of those Sons of Ale. Yeah. A lot of people tend to be buying them now, and they are lovely models as well, I find. And then you come, interestingly, back to the
all the way back
to the lowest of the low.
Yeah. The
warrior of Rohan.
Yeah, and since I'm taking them to Finchley, I shall discuss. So Warrior Rohan, fight 3 with a 4+ shoot value, strength 3, defense 4, 1 attack, 1 wound, and courage 3.
It's your man profile.
The man profile with armour. They can take a banner and a warhorn, which you take a banner, but probably not the warhorn, because Erkenbrand should be in your force. Take throwing spears for 2 points a model, which is good. A bow and a shield. So you probably won't take a bow because outriders are available. You definitely take the shield to get to defense 5, so the strength 2 shooting doesn't hurt you so much, and strength 4
doesn't kill you so much.
Yep. And the way I'm taking them is with shield and throwing spear, and hoarding out with Éomer and Éowyn.
So all of a sudden they become 9 points.
9 points.
Still reasonably cheap.
It's pretty cheap, and with throwing spears being 8-inch range, they can get into range with their throwing spears. The enemy runs 6 towards you, you can run away 6. If they don't run towards you, you can stand there, or you can jiggle about a little bit.
It's that number of strength 3 hits, isn't it? Which is pretty good. And if you're standing still, 4+.
4+ isn't terrible.
No, it's not terrible.
The Warriors of Rohan are alright. They're reasonably cheap. You can hoard them out very nicely with sort of Éowyn and the cheaper heroes in there.
Yeah, and it can give you, in the past, you take Grimbold and you do that upgrade.
But so many of them have axes as standard. For the one in Finchley, all of mine that had axes and swords have had their stuff cut off and spears put in place.
No.
So
you should just ask me. I've got loads of spears that I never use. I use all the ones with axes and swords.
Yeah, you do.
Damn right we do. And it's almost like an anticlimactic way to finish the Rohan list, because
that's it.
That's it. It's very hero heavy list. Very hero heavy. It does have some cool elites.
It's hero heavy, but it's only got 3 real heroes that you choose from, or 4.
4 really, yeah. You probably go for your Éomer Marshal and Riddermark, Éomer Knight of Pelennor, Éowyn, Erkenbrand, Éola Young.
Yeah, they're the only ones you consider in a competitive Rohan force.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed us talking you through the Kings of Men sourcebook, looking at the Rohan profile. Next up, we'll actually be combining 2 together, won't we?
Well, yes.
2 old kingdoms.
2 fallen kingdoms.
We've got Arnor
and
Numenor. So make sure that you come back to watch that video, and if you're liking these videos, as always, make sure you remember to comment, like, share and subscribe.
Support your hobby. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
And happy strategy battle gaming, guys.